It started with a note, handwritten in shaky cursive on pink stationery, folded neatly and slipped under our door like a threat disguised in politeness. "Some of us value peace and quiet," it read. "Your son is a disruption. Please consider controlling his volume." That was the first shot fired in what would become the most emotionally exhausting and legally intense war I've ever fought. And it all started because my 8-year-old disabled son, Oliver, laughed a little too loudly in our own home. Oliver has autism and sensory processing disorder. For him, joy is expressed in bursts, shouts of excitement, claps, squeals when something lights up his world. He doesn't understand social volume limits the way neurotypical people do, and quite frankly, I never expected him to. He is who he is, beautifully, brilliantly, unapologetically himself. We'd just moved into the Woodgrove Lakes community 6 weeks earlier, hoping for a fresh start, cleaner air, a quieter environment, and for a while it was perfect. Until she arrived, Eleanor Westwood. Everyone called her Miss Ellie, but the name didn't match the firestorm she brought with her. She was the self-appointed noise monitor, president of the HOA board, and chief of the Good Neighbor Initiative, which was just a fancy title for her surveillance hobby. She lived directly across from us, her porch always stacked with binoculars, a clipboard, and a smug mug of tea she never drank. She had a manicured yard, stone garden gnomes arranged like sentries, and an iron will to control everything and everyone around her. The day she first spoke to me in person, she didn't even say hello. She leaned over our fence with that tight-lipped smile and said, "I hear your son's very expressive." I was stunned into silence. She kept going. "I've filed a courtesy notice, nothing official, yet, but noise travels, especially sharp noises, shrill ones." My blood boiled. I knew what she meant, but I kept it together. "He's just being a kid," I said, keeping my tone measured. She raised her eyebrows and replied, "Well, some children need to learn boundaries." Then she walked off. A week later, the formal complaints started. One by one. Noise disturbances filed with the HOA, the city council, even animal control. Karen, because that S, what she truly was, claimed high-pitched screeching resembling an abused animal was coming from our home. She attached audio clips to her emails, choppy, clearly doctored snippets of Oliver playing or laughing. She demanded we be fined, demanded we be evicted. She even suggested we seek specialized housing better suited for special needs individuals. That was the moment I knew this was no longer about peace and quiet. It was about discrimination. I tried to talk to the HOA board, but Karen ran the meetings like a dictator. Anytime I tried to speak, she'd cut me off. "Please stick to agenda topics," she'd say. When I brought up Oliver's diagnosis, she'd roll her eyes and mutter, "Don't play the disability card." Other neighbors remained silent. Some nodded along with her. Some looked uncomfortable, but no one spoke up. I felt isolated, angry, and helpless. Until the morning I found Oliver curled up on his bed, hands over his ears, crying because Karen had shouted at him from her porch, "You're not normal! Stop screaming like a maniac!" That broke me. That day, I decided I wouldn't just fight back, I'd take her down. I started gathering evidence. I bought outdoor security cameras, indoor mics, and backed up every email, letter, voicemail. I met with a civil rights attorney who specialized in discrimination under the Americans with Disabilities Act, ADA. She listened, reviewed the footage, the audio, the documents, and told me plainly, "You have a case, a strong one." We filed a lawsuit against both Karen and the HOA for harassment, defamation, emotional distress, and violating Oliver's rights under the ADA and the Fair Housing Act. Word spread fast. Karen was furious. She called an emergency HOA meeting, tried to rally the community against me, claimed I was exploiting my son for personal gain and weaponizing his condition. But now, people were finally paying attention. One neighbor anonymously slid a USB into my mailbox. It contained a video of Karen yelling through our window, threatening to call CPS because kids like him shouldn't be raised around others. Another neighbor came forward, admitting that Karen had bullied her into not letting her kids play with Oliver. More and more people began to realize just how toxic she was. Then the media got involved. A local reporter caught wind of the lawsuit and ran a feature titled, "Mother Sues HOA Over Disabled Son, S Right to Joy." It went viral within hours. News vans parked on our street. Advocacy groups reached out. Karen, now exposed to the world, tried to pivot. She issued a fake apology on Facebook, calling the whole situation a misunderstanding and blaming overzealous rule enforcement. But the damage was done. The court date came 2 months later. Karen entered smug, armed with binders of fabricated logs, edited audio clips, and a lawyer with dead eyes. I walked in with my attorney, a folder of hard evidence, and Oliver, holding his favorite stuffed bear, smiling at the judge like the pure soul he is. The trial lasted 4 days. The defense tried to paint Oliver as a disturbance. But the video footage, character witness testimonies, and emotional impact were undeniable. I took the stand and told the truth. My son has a disability. That doesn't make him a problem. That makes him protected. We played a clip of Oliver giggling while watching bubbles pop on the iPad. The courtroom fell silent. Some cried. Even the judge's voice cracked when she spoke. On day 4, the verdict came in. We won, not just on one count, on every count. The court ruled that Karen and the HOA violated federal anti-discrimination laws, harassed a disabled minor, and created a hostile environment. Karen was ordered to pay damages, publicly apologize, and step down from the HOA board immediately. The HOA itself was fined and mandated to undergo ADA compliance training and restructure its complaint process. And best of all, a restraining order was issued. Karen had to stay 100 feet away from Oliver at all times. The day she moved out, the neighborhood threw a block party. Families who once avoided us brought food, gifts, and their kids. People apologized, hugged me, hugged Oliver. And for the first time in months, my son laughed freely, unapologetically, loudly, beautifully, just as he should. Sometimes justice doesn't come in silence. It comes in volume. And I will never again be quiet about defending my son's right to simply be himself.